tits, bitch.
Hello, Fiends and Fiendettes. Welcome to a very special Spoilercast edition of the best horror podcast on 7voltmedia.com and the world, Scream Fiends. I'm your host, Xander, and with me once again is Russ.
Yep.
Now, this is a little bit different than what we usually do. Usually we have a full-length episode and the movie of the week, which is on the YouTubes. But we've done a few of these in the past, and this is just going to be
Just
a spoiler-filled discussion of the latest, greatest horror release, A Quiet Place.
yeah.
So if you're coming into this, hopefully you've already seen A Quiet Place, because we're going to go through the entire movie and spoil everything. Talk about all that there is to this movie.
Yep.
And all that. So if you haven't seen it,
Hit pause.
or if you just don't care,
hit play.
but yeah, that's what this is going to be. So
Yeah.
let's jump right in. This movie is starring Emily Blunt as Evelyn,
Oh, she had a name?
John Krasinski as Lee,
What?
Millicent Simmons as Regan.
Which one?
Regan.
The girl?
Yes.
Okay.
And Noah Jupe
Chupe? Hoope.
as Marcus.
I didn't
And
know
these four people make up the Abbott family.
Yep. I didn't know they had names. They
Yep.
never say their names.
They never say their names. Is written by Brian Woods, Scott Beck, and John Krasinski,
From Shrimpskis.
and directed by John Krasinski.
Way to go, John. Movie starts off with
They're in like a grocery store, supermarket.
So yeah, I thought it wasn't gonna be them at first. I thought they were just gonna introduce like the whole premise with the monster and blah blah blah. Because like you have like somebody creeping around,
Yeah.
then you see pitter patter feet. So I'm thinking, it's just like kids trying to eke out an existence, and they're gonna get eaten. That's how they're gonna
Start the movie. Yeah.
No, it's a family.
Yep, it's clearly something has gone wrong in the world.
Yeah.
All the shelves are empty. Overturned shopping carts.
I'm playing Fallout right now. It reminded me of Fallout. Just everything all over the fucking place. And they're looking at some medicine because the oldest boy, Marcus, is sick.
Yes.
He's got, I don't know what he's sick with, but she's going through the medicine and trying to find it.
And Regan, the daughter, it's brought out right away, pretty much right away, that she is deaf or hearing impaired. She has a hearing aid.
Yeah.
And they focus on that pretty much like one of the first few shots.
Yep. Yes, they do. We also we don't have the name for their youngest.
No. And I don't know if they ever say it either.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they don't say any of their names.
No.
But there's also, we'll call him the youngin. the youngest
he is
child.
A 4-year-old.
Yeah. Just a little guy. And he's kind of going around, and you can tell he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, and then so they're going around, they're finding stuff. John Krasinski comes in. That's where you see his entrance is him coming into the place.
It's a pretty cool shot. He's standing in the doorway of the supermarket and kind of blurred out. So I don't know. I just thought it was a neat looking shot. It reminded me of the Last of Us 2 trailer when Joel walks into frame and
Didn't see that one.
Ellie's playing guitar and he's kind of standing in the doorway. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I like it because it's kind of an upshot. It was like, I don't know what to call any of these things. I know there's terms for all this. I mean, I've heard of the Americana shot, which is like from like the knee, like right below the knee up. I think is what that's called, but I can't remember exactly. All I remember is being my friend telling me about it, and I pointed it out when we were watching Blowout once, and I'm like, "Hey, that's an Americana." And he's like, "Very good."
Yeah, we just like talking shit about movies, and we know nothing about how to make them.
Shit about movies, but
That's okay.
it makes me kind of want to look into it though.
Yeah,
but all the more. The little boy finds he's drawing on the floor, and the sister comes over to check it out, Regan, and he shows her he drew a rocket ship, and he explains to her that's how they're gonna escape. That's his idea, how they're gonna get off out of this whole mess. Then he finds one, and he's like, I'm thinking, here it comes, right? And,
well, he's standing on like a
baggage. It looks like a baggage of some kind. Like
he's using something as a step stool, and it
shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's clearly like bad news written all over it, like kind of shaky and.
Yeah, and so he gets the it's a shuttle actually,
like a NASA shuttle,
NASA shuttle, yep,
toy ship, yeah,
yep, and well, everybody. We haven't really talked about this, but everybody knows that if you watch the trailer that they can't make sounds.
Right.
So they're being quiet and using sign language.
Yep.
So they're all John rounds them all up, or Lee rounds everybody up.
Well, doesn't he gets the ship down, and doesn't John Krasinski come in and grab it right away?
Well, he gets the ship down and he's walking over and he has it, and John grabs it from him, pulls the batteries out, puts it on the counter, and he says it's too loud.
Yeah.
And then they leave, but Regan stays behind for a second. Regan and the 4-year-old say, in just a second, she smiles at him and hands him the spaceship without the batteries.
Yep.
Well, then the boy looks at the batteries and nabs them, and then they are just walking along, and you see they're all barefoot.
Yep.
Then they're walking on a trail they've made where it's all sand to hopefully mitigate snapping branches and stuff like that.
Which I kind of understand, but at the same time, is being barefoot really that much more quiet than having shoes on?
See, I wouldn't think so. I suppose if you drag your feet,
I suppose.
But I didn't understand. I think there's a couple things where maybe something, I don't know, but I thought like even like a twig snapping with all the other ambient noise going around, like a small twig snap wouldn't alert these monsters.
Right.
So it's like, why do you even need to do the sand? But then I thought, well, if they're running, it might be better, because then they don't have to even think about it. Because if they're just walking along, they can kind of be, they can kind of be more conscious of where they're putting their steps. But if they have to run, this gives them an opportunity for that kind of thing, if any of that really matters. But they get to a bridge.
Yeah, they're on like train tracks, aren't they?
Well, they do cross train tracks, but this bridge I don't think has train tracks on it.
That's right. No, it
it's
doesn't.
just a bridge that goes over a river. But as they all get across, except for the little boy is behind them, and he's playing with the spaceship, and then hits the button, and you put the batteries in. And
it's like the shot is in front of John Krasinski, and then you just hear the rocket noises going off.
Yeah.
And he turns around, and he knows
what's coming.
This is not going to end well.
So he takes off running. And
so this also kind of comes into play throughout, and I think is really cool. It'll go to shots of Regan, and the sound will just go off. So like you're hearing it from, or not hearing it from, her perspective.
Yeah.
So she doesn't hear anything, but she sees John Krasinski like turn around and like terrified running past her,
and she figures it out pretty quick.
Yo.
So so things going off, and the boy's kind of playing with it.
Yep.
And
John Krasinski is running and like glancing off to the side, and you can see
like stuff moving in the background.
Yeah, so he's essentially racing this thing.
Yeah, and he's going to try to head it off. I don't know what he's going to do, but he doesn't make it.
No.
And so
you get the first glimpse of the creature.
Yep. One thing we forgot too, the first shot is actually a black screen with a number of days. I think it was
that's
92
right.
days. It said at that point.
Somewhere around there. I thought it was like 87.
Maybe that was it.
It's only been a few months at this point.
Yeah, and so after this scene, it does that again, and it's been 478 days at this point.
Yes, the boy is dead.
Yeah.
If that wasn't
yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Obvious.
It's pretty obvious in the trailer.
Did it show that in the trailer?
It shows him like making a sound and John running after him. It's like, of course he's gonna be dead.
Oh, okay.
I just assume that's the kicker for them and their struggles. But then we get to the next deal.
Yeah, like you said, it was 400 some
70 something
days later, so quite a while later.
72, sure.
And they've made a home at this old
farmhouse.
Yeah. It's like a big complex. Well, yeah, it's a farm.
It's a farm. So they have the farmhouse, then they have like a barn and a silo.
Yep.
And there seems to be some other farm stuff a little bit further away from that main campus or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
There's a couple vehicles around. What is this next scene? Is it the boy pretending to drive?
Well, there's that.
Just kind of a couple different shots showing everybody.
Yeah. They're kind of... I think it goes to... John Krasinski is in his little, like, lab, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
And you get a glimpse of what is going on in the world. Like, almost like a...
montage? Expose?
Yeah, he has, like, newspapers pinned up, and through that you sort of get an idea of what is going on in the world. Like, see that... I want to see it again or have it at home so I can pause and see it, all the little things, because there's a ton of little details. Like, they know that they're blind and they go off as sound.
Mm-hmm. I saw one article headline was like they're indestructible.
Yeah.
And things like that. And so
and John Krasinski has like a whiteboard that he's written
a couple notes.
All these things like blind, armor. And that one sort of seemed like a question.
Well,
like
he wrote armored and then underlined it. So I wonder if they've had a violent run-in with these before and tried to shoot them and nothing happened, and which would make kind of sense with what happens with them. But
well, there was one newspaper clipping that was. It looked like a shot of like the military blasting one of the things, and the headline was "Indestructible."
Yeah.
So maybe that's where they get it from.
Yeah.
And then there's also 3 are in the area.
Yep.
So apparently
3 are confirmed to be in the area. So he knows that there are at least 3 in this area. I saw another couple articles about like angels of death, and like they show pictures of like comets coming. So you know they're aliens.
See, I missed that.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
So that's
that was in one of the later shots too.
Okay,
but it would have been. I just assume I missed it to begin with because they pan over that whole thing.
And there's a reference to the president's last telecast.
Yep.
So you know that the whole government has
dissolved essentially.
Yeah.
I think at this point too, John's working on a hearing aid for his daughter.
Yes, he is soldering some wires.
Yeah.
That may not be the exact sequence of events, but for the most part,
sure. Then what was Emily doing? Emily Blunt. What was her name? Nancy? No.
I don't know. There's also that they're lighting the fire at the top of the silo.
Yeah, that was at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, does it just kind of go through their day to day a little bit?
It kind of does, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Let's say
Evelyn.
Evelyn. So it goes kind of through their day to day. Then they sit down for dinner, and what she does is she like cooks this food underneath the floor. I imagine the crackle or something, but they like smoke fish underneath the floorboards and then pull it up and they eat. They look like they eat pretty well, for now.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you get sort of an idea that Regan is still kind of hanging on to the guilt of her brother dying.
Yep.
Because she, I don't know, not really acting out, but just kind of.
Well, she assumes it's made more apparent later. I wasn't sure why she did this. So when dinner was finished, Evelyn motions for Regan to go get her dad, and she's like, "I don't want to."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Go get him." So he goes. She goes to get him, and
he's like washing up.
Yeah, and he's like washing his face. He seemed kind of distraught about something. It couldn't really tell what. But
maybe the frickin' terror creatures lurking out in the wilderness.
Yeah, it just seemed like from like that scene to this scene. I wonder if something, I don't know. But so they sit down, they eat, and then it goes to a scene where John's on top of the silo, and he lights a fire, and then because it's night out, and he lights a fire. Then you see a couple other fires go up, around the area, so you can see really far out.
And he was also looking at his watch, so there must be other survivors that they've all kind of synchronized, like this is what we're gonna light the fire at a certain time, so we all know that everyone is okay, kind of deal.
Which is cool that they have that kind of community thing, but they stay separate, which I imagine is probably strategic considering how these things hunt. If you have a bunch of people in one area,
right?
You just end up just be The Walking Dead with monsters that would make that a 1-episode series.
Yeah.
Which would have been awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would have been way better than what happened, but I shit on that movie. I shit on that show so much, and I've only seen like, it's okay. But it's not fair because I've only seen 3 episodes.
It's well deserved. It's well deserved.
I've seen 3 or 4 episodes. I just shit on that show. But
they seem to have electricity because they have sort of like lights going around the
complex.
Yeah,
the premises.
Kind of like
because that's what he's looking at the clock for. The watch. Because they're on a timer.
Oh, okay.
So they all went on it at a certain time. So I think he was setting that up or something. So he's got a string of white lights and a string of red lights, which is obvious. He has one set for just normal lighting, and then they turn on the red ones if there's a creature around. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, obvious. I mean, why else would you do that? But then it goes to play Monopoly.
John, there's that, but. And is this before or after Monopoly? John tries to give Regan a new hearing aid because he's like, I made this, and like she refuses to take it.
Yeah. Oh no. Yes, I don't know where that is, but that's the scene. I think this is after. I think that's after the Monopoly. So the Monopoly thing happens, what you see in the previous, where they're playing Monopoly, they knock over a lamp, the monsters come, but then they go off because they don't hear anything.
Right.
Then they eat a raccoon. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a jump scare where John Krasinski is looking out the window.
And some raccoons jump off the roof.
And they're like, oh, good, we're fine. And then later on it goes to a shot of the raccoons running through the cornfield.
Yep, they get... One of them gets
a big boom claw hand smashes the raccoon.
Yep.
Goodbye, raccoon.
I'm not sure how it gets to this though, but it's where Regan is trying to sneak downstairs. Like she goes off and she wants to go look in the lab.
Yep.
But he doesn't want her to go down there.
Yes, and that's where we also see that they've made little markings on the floor.
You figure out
where to step.
Where to step because of the squeakies.
Yep.
So she goes and he grabs her and says, "You can't go down there." And she's like, "Why not? I'm not a kid anymore." They have kind of a father-daughter fight. She storms off and he then hands her.
That's right. Yep.
And she doesn't want it, but then he puts it in her hand and
he's like, "We gotta, even if it doesn't work, we gotta keep trying."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she storms off, goes upstairs, throws it, puts it in her ear, tries it anyways, puts it in her ear, puts the other piece to her head, and then is sitting there clicking and it's not working.
Yep. Nope.
And then the next day.
Well, along these scenes, we then learn that Evelyn is pregnant.
Yeah, she's pregnant again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let's just say it now. That was a stupid thing to do.
Yes, immediately when I saw that, I was like, why the hell would you have a kid in... not only where like mankind is pretty much wiped out, but sound plays such a big factor in your survival. Like, what are you gonna do with a baby screams? Like,
so I wasn't sure what they were going to do at this point.
yeah,
I thought maybe they were going to kill her right away. Because like I saw because what you see is them preparing for this baby by putting this box together. It's like a wooden box coffin, right? With I couldn't tell what was in that tank she put, but with the hose to the mask, I'm like, okay, maybe they're just going to knock it out. But I was thinking maybe they're going to kill this thing.
yeah, it's a little baby mask too. So it's like, no, this whatever this is for the baby.
Yeah, it's for the baby.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is.
And it's like a green tank. So traditionally, that's what you see oxygen in. It's one of those green tanks. So I figured it was oxygen,
Which would calm a baby down.
Sure.
You know, straight O2. Just, that baby's like, just let me know when I can have some nipples. I'm hungry.
But yeah, the entire concept of them having a baby in this situation, just I was like, what are you gonna do with this baby?
Yeah,
keep it locked up and wherever for freaking 5 years, 4 years.
You know, John, if you're listening, which you're not, I understand. Emily's hot, but pull out, man. If we're dealing with monsters that are going to eat us with sound, pull out, man. But no, I wonder if it was like an altruistic thing where they're going to figure this out and try to keep the species going, kind of a thing.
They
is it
could
an
also
altruistic
be
thing, or was it like oops? You know,
well, it could also be like a makeup baby.
Are they replacing their other child they lost, kind of a thing?
Which is, I mean, that's not really a nice thing to say about a baby, but
it happens. People do that, like when they lose children. I mean, it's happened. You know, like there's movies about it too, where like
sure,
but and stuff. And so it could have been any one of those things. I think it's probably. I mean, it's dumb to have a kid in that situation, but
I'm sure it was an oops. It was probably an oops.
When you look at them, though, like what was their motivation? There's three possibilities, and you know, you'd probably have to ask them, like, why would you have a kid? Like ask the writers, like, why would they have a kid in this situation?
Right.
I for me, the most logical explanation is oopsie, and then they're just like, well, let's just keep it for two reasons. One, because like,
how are you going to get an abortion?
How are you going to get an abortion?
No abortion doctors.
Yeah, you know, how are you going to get an abortion?
A few kicks to the stomach. Push down the stairs.
Well, like I wonder, because I thought about like that. Why wouldn't you get an abortion? Like, how would you administer an abortion in this situation?
Yeah.
But because you're dealing with two things when this baby comes. You're dealing with her screaming in pain, and then the baby crying. It's just like, you guys, how are you gonna do this? You know.
Well, and they do sort of alleviate some of the like what is going on here with it shows them putting up like newspapers trying to soundproof
they're
this
trying to,
room.
It's like a secret basement thing underneath some floorboards, and
so it is like at least they're trying, like at least they're consciously, they know that this baby is going to make some noise.
Yeah, which is pretty cool that they came up with this idea to do this, and it would have worked. But so we get to the next day where John is doing the father-son thing where he's going to teach him how to survive. Yeah,
they're going to go out.
Yeah. Oh, what they're doing actually, I'm sorry. No, actually Evelyn is teaching Marcus math. And then John comes in and signs to her that it's time to go.
Yep.
And Marcus looks at her and says, don't make me go. Don't make me go. And she's like, it's going to be okay, blah, blah, blah. You know, because they need to teach him the tricks, how to survive in this stuff. And
so that he can protect her.
Yep. So they all get suited up. They go outside, and Marcus and Lee have a fight about going. And then Regan comes and goes, I'll go.
Yeah.
I want to go.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you can't go. You need to stay here and help your mom. Well, she gets pissed off, storms off, and then they go off, and Emily's left there alone for a moment. I just want to make a mention. I thought the boy and Regan. I thought the child actors in this were good.
Yes,
I would say actually good.
They were excellent. Yeah,
when that boy looked genuinely terrified, like somebody should keep an eye on the kid. He's gonna have nightmares. I mean, he did. He was absolutely convincing, and I thought that she played her part very well as like the rebellious teenage. I mean, it was cool to see like these more typical human interactions in this extraordinary situation, kind of a thing, like the father son, father daughter, like issues you would normally see.
Well, and so much of this movie is the acting is so physical, and like their it's mostly done through their facial expressions and sign language, because they don't speak. Like, you don't hear them talk for
most of the movie. You get a couple instances of their voices.
Yeah.
But like, everything is through them talking. Them signing and their faces and stuff.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
These kids did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, like usually child actors are my biggest I'm gonna stay away from this movie because
even the 4-year-old was all right.
Yeah, child actors can be make or break a movie for sure, so easily. So they nailed it in this movie.
Oh,
do not be afraid of child actors ruining this movie because
they did a good job.
Yes,
which you hopefully already know because you already watched it.
Yeah.
Well, it gets to Lee and Marcus at the river. He's teaching him how to catch fish. He drops a fish. It creates a big splash. And the boy loses it. He's like, and John's like, no, it's okay. The river's too loud. Like little sounds like this are okay because the river's so loud. He goes, I want to show you something. But then I think at this point, it cuts back to Regan.
Yep.
Regan storms back to the house. She throws the hearing aid down. Then she tries it. After she's pissed, she clicks and she doesn't hear nothing. Then she... in her anguish, I think, because this is where you find out she's feels really guilty about this, what's going on. So she's packing a backpack. I thought, maybe she's running away.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of an interesting idea where like kid and parent get in a fight, kid runs away, but kid runs away with monsters around. Yeah. Kind of like, wow. I mean, even still, but she grabs something wrapped in a handkerchief. Did you know what it was right away? Because I did.
No,
I assumed it was the spaceship.
Oh. Yeah, she grabs that and a pliers.
Yeah, her dad got her that Leatherman.
Yeah, it's a Leatherman.
And so she goes off.
Yep.
And then it goes to
John Krasinski again.
Yep. Yeah, and they're at a waterfall.
Yep.
And he just he goes, watch this or something, and he just screams out.
Yep.
And the boy's like, whoa. He goes, no, go ahead. And then the boy gets to do it, And so they're having a good old time.
Then they have a conversation about Regan. And how Marcus explains that Regan really blames herself for what happened.
Yeah.
And
Lee's like, it's nobody's fault.
No, and like I've never blamed her. And then Marcus says,
well, do you even love her? And he goes, of course I love her. And he's like, well, you better tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah. Then is it back to Emily?
Or
is it Regan visiting the deal?
Well, all three of these things happen at the same time.
Should we just take them all at a time here, or like get them all up tonight?
Yeah, sure, because we're already with John or Lee and Marcus, so let's just start there.
Okay.
They're walking back.
Yep.
And
Marcus pauses to look at a creepy house.
Yep.
And then he starts moving again and runs into the back of Lee.
Yes.
And then he looks down and sees a woman has been attacked.
And is dead.
And then, but while he was walking, though, a man with white hair pops up out of the background. And then you figure out that she's dead. This old man is really distraught, and John looks at him and like puts his finger up to his mouth to shush him, but the man screams. And so John picks up Lee, and
you have to assume that it's his wife
or sister or whatever you want,
and is now dead. And he screams. They take off.
They
Marcus
take off
and Lee
hide
behind a tree, and then you see the creature.
Yep.
Take the guy out.
Yep. So each time the creature's revealed, you see a little bit more.
Yeah. And well, let's get to the full description when you can actually. When you first see the entire thing.
Sure. Let's go back to Regan.
Okay.
Regan goes to the bridge where her little brother was taken, and she goes over. They have a little
cross
there, a cross there,
yep.
And she pulls out the spaceship, cuts the wire that had the sound on it, and turns it on. So it's just the flashing lights, and she lays it there, and that's pretty much that for that scene.
Yeah. Yep.
And it just kind of exemplifies the fact that she feels responsible for that.
Yeah.
And, then
Evelyn
goes back to Evelyn. She's doing laundry.
Mm-hmm. Doing laundry in the sink because obviously you don't want a washing machine going.
Yeah.
Gets 2 big bags full of laundry. Is carrying them up the stairs, and one gets caught.
Yeah, and it looked like at first I thought it was just like a chunk of wood on the stair.
Yep.
But it ends up being a nail.
Yeah, she pulls real hard, gets it loose.
Yep.
But then the camera pans down and you see this.
It bent the nail up.
Nail sticking straight up.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
You just know it's coming.
Yeah, you just know, oh.
Somebody's stepping on that nail.
Yep.
It would have been awesome if their neighbor would have been Marv from Home Alone and he did it. But not Marv. What's that guy's name? David. What's that guy's actor's name?
Stern. Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern, yeah. Yep. Who was in a great movie.
Bushwhacked?
No. Well, yes, but he was in a horror movie with the guy that plays Kevin McAllister's dad in Home Alone. They were in a movie together in the 80s. Horror movie.
Huh.
Can you guess what it is?
No.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Chud?
Yeah, they were in Chud together.
Oh, cool. Yeah, then she's upstairs, right?
Well, she's outside, like, hanging stuff. And then she like looks over at the house for some reason. I don't know if she's going over there to check on Regan or what, but she went back to the house.
Yeah.
And she's doing something, and then I remember. She goes into her little boy's room that they lost, and she sits in the chair and she's kind of crying.
Oh yeah.
And she's crying because they were flipping scenes really quick at this point. So she's crying. They're dealing with that monster, and Regan's laying by her brother's grave, or memorial site deal, and she's crying. And then when she stands up, she gets kind of like woozy feeling, and her water breaks.
Yep, you see little drips.
Yep. So everything's okay. She's making her way down. She doesn't know where anybody is at this moment, but she's making her way downstairs. But
is she going down there to check the cameras to see where?
Yeah, maybe
if she can find anyone.
We never get to figure out what she's doing because she can't do anything.
Yeah, that
nail comes into play, and she steps on it, and she.
Oh my god, that was one of those like I was chewing on my movie ticket.
Yeah,
like it was tense, super tense.
So she steps on it, yelps, drops the picture frame, shatters, obviously making a huge sound. She's got to pull her foot with her hands off of this nail.
Yeah.
She makes her way downstairs and she looks for something and she finds a timer. So she turns the timer on, sets it somewhere, and she's about to she looks upstairs and the monster moves across the screen.
Yep.
Then she hides. And
does she flip on the switch?
Not at that point because it wasn't night yet.
Oh.
It wasn't night yet, I don't think. So maybe she does flip it on.
She had to have because
maybe it was night at this point because she had been in the room during the day.
Yeah.
So she flips the switch on so the lights are red instead of white. Then she ends up hiding, and the monster's getting closer and closer to her. And you can see it at this point.
Yep. All right, so let's describe the creature.
So it's humanoid as far as its body and head goes. It's got a head with a torso, but the arms and legs are more ape-like, but reverse jointed. With
they look like the Cloverfield monster.
They do look like Cloverfield monsters.
It honestly, my first thought was it's a cross between the Cloverfield monster and
those things that dropped off the Cloverfield monster.
No, the liquor from Resident Evil.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Perfect.
Except not really super bad CGI. Not like video game CGI, video game graphics in a movie.
Yeah, no, it looked good. It was a good monster.
Fine.
Yep, it had like a really like gaping maw kind of thing. Almost looked like a venom face when it came to its mouth, but its face was paneled, and it
breaks. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about your skull and how there's a seam. Well, in this thing, its seams are attached to muscles that open up to help it, I figure, direct sound to its ear holes.
Yeah.
And
because this is the first time you see like it opens that part up and it's like a giant ear canal.
Yeah. And so it's crazy.
Yeah, it's.
I like the idea of this monster.
I
thought
it
the
makes
CG was good too. Like it fit. Like it was.
Yeah, it definitely didn't have that blending effect or blending issue where it doesn't look like it's a part of the scene. Yeah. Like they did a pretty good job of blending it in the scene.
It was very I wouldn't go as far as good as District 9, but still like good enough to where it doesn't bother you.
Right.
And the monster, I liked the design of the monster. So I liked that whole deal.
Yeah, it's very apparent that this thing uses sound.
Yeah. Well, they do a good job of so she's hiding, but she's going through labor. She's trying not to scream. Finally, the alarm goes off, and the thing flips out. Right. So she then very sternly makes her way upstairs, goes upstairs into the bathroom, lays in the tub as best as she can, and she pulls a blanket over her. She's sitting up there, and then
blood is coming out.
Yeah, and she's holding herself, and like
the absolute worst time to be having a baby.
At this point, Regan hasn't made her way back yet. John and
Marcus,
Lee and Marcus are coming back, and they notice.
They edge up over a hill, and they see the red lights.
Yep, they see the red lights, and then they just start booking it. Then they stop, and Lee explains to Marcus, "You have to set off the rockets." He's like, "I can't do that. I can't do it because you have to do this for your mother." Yep. So then he sends him. He gives him a flashlight and sends him off. Yep. He goes in, grabs a shotgun, and the rockets go off. This is when Regan's like, "Oh shit!" and then she starts booking it back.
Yeah, it's the way they use sound and use scene transitions with the sound, because when he shoots out the rockets,
the monster's on its way up the stairs and like into the bathroom almost.
Yeah, and at that exact moment, she just lets out this wail.
Yeah, she screams because as the baby is like, I need to come out of here. And so it's like, well, okay, what happened? So John goes through the house with a shotgun, finds the bathroom, and there's blood in it, and he assumes the worst. Then we get a jump scare where she slams on the window of the shower, and she's in there with the baby.
She's got a baby.
So then
that part, it made me laugh a little bit, because it's like,
why would she slam on the window?
No, just how sudden all of a sudden she's got this baby. I don't know. It was just made me laugh just because I thought it was a little bit dumb.
Like how fast the baby came
Maybe
up?
That, and like the whole situation of her having a baby in this entire ordeal.
Sure. So with our second one, we got to the hospital at like midnight, and he was out pretty fucking quick. Yeah. So it can happen really fast, and I don't know, but like I don't know, like I think that what they don't show is that she was probably in labor the whole day.
Sure.
Like there's like you can have contractions all day. Like with our first, Anna was having contractions all day. It's just that at first it was there's a good 45 minutes in between each one.
Yeah.
So I think what they could have done is just shown her like, like where she gets
I think it was just the whole ordeal.
Yeah.
It's just like, now you got the baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad enough you got 2 kids.
Now
like,
it's in this whole situation, it just gets worse.
Mm.
But it was kind of cool to see, like, it really, I could be wrong on this. Does anybody here is a philosopher and has read Albert Camus? But it really is like, it really displays the absurdity of humanity, because it's like, despite everything, humans just keep fucking going. It's like, we're gonna have a kid, even though if the thing cries once, we're all dead. We're gonna try to do this. It's like, it's that whole thing where it's just, that's just the way humans are, kind of a thing.
All right, let's play a hypothetical.
Do it.
If you had a baby in this world, and the creature was around, and the baby cried, would you toss that baby across the room or out the door?
No.
Being
a father, I couldn't do it. No, I would do everything I can to. I would maybe grab an axe and like probably sliding this axe out of whatever I'm grabbing it from would make enough noise for the thing to find me and slash me across the the driveway.
But the baby's crying.
I know, but what I would do then is like I'd stand up with all the strength I had left, right, and just drop the axe to make enough sound to get the thing to turn on me and give my baby and hopefully one of the other kids or my wife a chance to get away.
Okay, so the baby is crying. The baby's going to die. Let's just put it that way. The baby is going to die.
Well, why is it going to die?
Because it's crying.
Yeah, but they could cover its mouth. They could do all sorts of things.
So you're going to smother your baby.
For a few moments, just while I'm
just
screaming.
For a few moments, we're going to cut off oxygen to the baby's
just for
brain.
While they can run up the stairs, and I'm going to scream over here and then get this thing to come after me.
And kill you.
Yeah.
And then your baby's dead because it's crying.
Unless they can get it to stop.
There's one way to get it to stop.
Yeah, you smother it till it stops breathing and then resuscitate it later.
I like it.
But I would have to try.
Makes sense. I get it. I get it.
I mean, let's put it out. Okay, Ebony, right, is yelping because she stepped on a nail. Do you throw her across the room? Or do you...
I mean, a dog's a little bit different than a baby.
You're right. It's true.
A dog is far more important.
Yeah, I would throw my cat. I love my cat, and I'd throw that thing across the room.
Yeah, sorry, Ebony. You gotta go.
But, no. So, my dog. See you later.
I think my dogs could take on one of these things.
I think I need to start getting animals I don't care about. I'm gonna buy like a bunch of gerbils, right? And then just like throw them. Well, they're gonna be like sound grenades. Just gonna throw them when the monsters come.
Yeah,
but
it's a good idea though. Yeah. Have a bunch of different sound distractions at your disposal.
Sure.
Which they think about. They have the fireworks.
Yep.
Which good idea.
Yeah,
definitely.
Great idea. So that works. That gets him away, but the boy's making his way back to the house, but then here's the monster. So he books it
through a cornfield,
which he should not be doing. Runs into a tractor tire and falls over, and you don't see what happens to him.
Regan also obviously sees and hears the fireworks. Or no, she doesn't hear the fireworks.
Yeah, well, we saw that. Yeah, she's making her way back now too. But then we get to the scene where Lee and Evelyn are making their way to the barn, I believe.
Yeah, it's where their secret...
their soundproof room is, and they because the baby starts to cry, of course, and they make it just in time to hide, and it works. Everything works. The soundproofing works.
Yeah, they have like a mattress above the door or whatever.
Yeah, so like a mattress is like their overhead thing. Then they set up the baby gas and this in the baby box.
Oh my God, the baby box.
The baby box.
I was freaking dying. So... This movie is very quiet, and it makes the audience very quiet.
Yeah.
So they put the baby in this box, and we're like, okay, it's like a makeshift little crib. And then they put a cover on the box. And I just cracked up. I could barely contain myself. I was trying to be so quiet because like everyone else is being super quiet. The movie's super quiet.
I still don't understand like why. It's funny to me that it's funny to you, but why is it funny that they put a baby in a box?
Because it just made me like it put everything like my gripe about having a baby in this situation into perspective.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, what? Okay, so exactly, this baby is gonna grow up in a box for 4 years.
Well,
it's gonna
the soundproofing in the room worked. That's why it was uncovered later on.
no, because it wasn't crying later on.
Oh,
yeah, and you can argue that the soundproofing didn't work because
they were talking
we'll get
normal.
there.
They were talking normal in that room.
Yeah, I suppose. But I thought it was funny that their plan is to keep this baby in a box. I don't know.
I mean, what else could you do? I mean, when you think about it, I mean, for you would have just thrown the baby across the room, right? But they want to keep this kid in there. They don't. What else can they do? What else could you do?
I know, I get it. It's hilarious to me.
I understand that.
They're keeping a baby in a box.
Oh, yeah, keep its collector value.
I don't know.
Don't open
Whatever.
the box. It'll be worth more.
Yeah.
It'll look like SpongeBob when they open it up finally because it grows into the box.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was so funny. It made me think of like a kid that grew up in a box. Like you always hear those stories about like kids that were raised by wolves and like kids that were locked in a basement dungeon for their entire lives. And
yeah. Well, I'm sure they would figure out like, I mean, the baby they could like cover its mouth and bring it outside, kind of a thing, or gag it. You know what I mean? They'd have to gag it until they could teach it to be quiet. You know. There's. I mean, I don't know what you do. It would be kind of interesting to see what they have to do. Like if they did, like the whole premise to A Quiet Place 2 is to show how they raise a child in this situation. You know, but so that's all working. But then they have a kind of a spat about the other kids. Where are they? Well, let's go to that real quick. Regan is walking back and she sees a light and she sees like a flashlight coming through kind of like a tunneled area of the corn. So she goes and she's making her way over there, and then her brother grabs her hand suddenly when she's reaching for the flashlight, and they end up under their tractor. They hug each other big, and then they make their way to the silo. Right? Yeah. Yep, they make their way to the silo. They're up on top of the silo, lighting a fire, trying to get their dad's attention.
Well, and they're also looking to see if the other fires are going. Yeah. And I couldn't tell if it was because they couldn't get their fire big enough,
I don't think they were looking for the other fires. I think they were looking to see if Lee was coming.
Well, they were, but they were also panning across the landscape where the other fires were.
Sure.
In the first time they did it.
Yeah.
And none of the other fires were going.
Yeah.
So that made me think, like, what, in this one night, like, everyone else was killed, or what is going on here?
Yeah. I think that maybe the timing was just off.
Sure.
You know, and, but then they kind of have a couple fights, like, Regan is not convinced that Lee's coming for them. And so they kind of have that spat. But then it goes back to Lee and Evelyn talking, and she's like, you have to protect our kids. So then he goes out to find them. At this point, Regan and Marcus are arguing again. He's like, he's coming for us, and she's like, maybe he'll come for you, but not me.
Yep. And at that moment, Marcus falls through.
Yep.
The doors of the silo, top doors of the silo,
and he hits the corn and starts sinking.
Yep.
And then the door falls off.
Yep.
But he's still sinking. So then Regan jumps in, pushes the door over to him, and he's able to pull himself up on the door. And then she starts to sink, and then he pulls
and goes
her
completely under.
Goes completely under. Yep. He reaches a hand in there and then pulls her up.
Yep. And this is my other issue with this movie, because I do not believe if you fall into a silo of corn, grain, whatever, you're going to come out of there. Because you got to think about, this is hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of corn that you're now submerged in. And that's, you got to think about that. That's all that weight is also coming down as well on top of you. You get it?
I'm still convinced though that they would have spread out their body. They could have stayed on top of the corn. Like if they wouldn't have moved and kept their arms like this or something, they wouldn't have sank.
I don't know.
But they were like struggling, and so they sank.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know enough about
Because I don't know if you because it's a solid and not a liquid, but it's behaving like a liquid in this situation because it's taking the form of the silo. So with all the weight being mostly towards the bottom where it would become the most dense, would that become dense enough for them to move on? But because it's not water and that's not an actual liquid, so I don't know. But even a liquid, you wouldn't be able to propel yourself up from. So she can't help him lift herself up, and he's doing it with one hand. So I get your gripe there.
Yeah.
But I wonder, would they? My question is, would they sink like that?
I think they would, and I don't think they'd be able to get out of it.
Sure.
Like I don't think they have the door to cover the surface area, so maybe that, but I think just the fact of them being in the corn before the door fell would have been death for them. I think that's how it works.
Well, she came in after the door.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like her jumping into the corn and sinking underneath, I don't think there would be any way for him to be strong enough to actually get her up from that.
Yeah, I don't think he could have one-handed lifted her up the way he did. If it were possible for him to stand on top of the door and use both hands, I could see that happening. But I don't know that door would be enough surface area to mitigate sinking into the corn.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm not buoyancy, but or if it would be because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm just trying to think well, would the door being spread out, like a big flat thing, would that be enough to support one of their weights?
Yeah.
We're gonna run into the Titanic. Never let go.
Yeah. The door was big enough.
Sure.
For both of them.
But then the monster comes in. They pull the door over themselves. John sees this at this point too, because the monster runs by him while he's up on top of the
which was
tractor
really
looking.
cool.
Yeah,
I like that because it was like,
oh yeah, they're blind.
yeah, this thing is running right by me,
and he's like, oh shit. So they pull the door over themselves, and they're hiding behind this door, and the creature's kind of going after it, but
stabbing through the metal with its.
But that earpiece she put in that he tried a different frequency at, for some reason reacts with the monster, and it sets it off.
Yeah.
Thing flips out and explodes out of the side of the silo.
Literally.
And so it runs out of the silo. They get out, and then Evelyn goes downstairs to look at the cameras with the baby. And then
she sees that they've now reunited.
And then she's happy.
Yeah.
But then the monster comes back. And so they're running. And they say, get to the truck. So they go to the truck that was in that first couple scenes. And she goes underneath the truck. He goes in the truck. And John's kind of looking around. And he goes and he grabs an axe. And pulls this axe out. And he's sneaking around. And he's not making any sound. But there's like an awning over this like tool shed thing. And he hears the thing click. And he looks up. And the thing slices at him. And it sends him flying. So you're like, shit. And then Marcus screams, "Dad!" And then the monster goes after the truck like crazy. She jumps into Regan jumps into the truck, like pulls him to one side. They go. She turns off her ear.
Yeah, because she doesn't realize that's what's bugging the monsters too. So yeah, she turns it off because it's really hurting her as well.
So they're going back.
Monsters just going ape shit.
Yeah.
On the freaking roof of the truck.
Yep. And then John, with all of his strength, stands up, grabs the axe, and Regan can see him, and she's like, whatever, and he says, I love you.
Yep.
He signs to her, I love you. I've always loved you.
Drops the axe.
Then the monster takes him out.
Well, he then screams like top of his lungs.
Yeah, he just screams top of his lungs. The monster takes him out.
Does not show it.
Nope, it doesn't show it, which I think is good.
Yeah, I mean, you hear it happening.
Yeah, and you get like that whole thing where you see his body shift kind of with the camera kind of a thing. It gives you the idea that he got taken out by this monster.
Yep.
The boy hits the e-brake on this thing, and the truck rolls down a hill.
Yep.
And then they run in, and they run up to Emily Blunt. She hugs them. Then they hear the monsters again, so they get inside. They go to the basement, and Regan hesitates to go in at first because her dad told her never go down there. Then she goes down.
It's one of those moments where it's like, I was told not to go down here, and it's almost like it makes her remember that she lost her dad.
Yeah.
Like in all this hectic chaos, she now has to think about
the emotion behind that scene. I thought was well done. I thought that was whoever decided to do that little thing to make her pause at the top of the stairs. I thought that was pretty good.
John Krasinski.
Jim. You're good. I want to see his other movies now because, like, seeing him be Jim, I figured that's it for him. He'll never do anything else. I mean, how do you do anything but that?
I saw one movie. I think it was when The Office was still on, maybe with Maya Rudolph. I think that's who was in it. It was like a romantic comedy.
Sure, was it good?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I know he's in some movie where he's like a soldier.
13 Soldiers.
Didn't see that one, but now
13 Days.
I don't know.
Or 13 Soldiers. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it either.
I think you're thinking 13 Warriors or 13 Nights with Antonio Banderas and Sean Connery.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. No.
No, was it Richard Gere?
No, it was Richard Gere
and Sean Connery in 13. No. Which one was that? I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
13th Samurai?
No.
13th Warrior?
13th Warrior?
That's the one with Antonio Banderas.
13th Warrior is the one with Antonio
13th
Banderas.
something. I don't know.
What's the one with Richard Gere and Sean Connery where Richard Gere's trying to mac on Sean Connery's like woman?
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. But so they get down in the basement. Marcus,
Emily Blunt or Evelyn has the shotgun.
Yep, and Marcus has the baby. She's got him hiding behind the water heater.
Yep, and the thing. Oh, we skipped that entire part where the baby room starts to flood.
Oh, duh. That's why she came out.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God. So yeah, there was a leak somewhere, and the water like was up to like her knees almost.
Yeah, and she was taking a nap, so she didn't realize what was going on.
Yeah, because she was exhausted from pushing a baby out.
Yeah.
Well, then she looks over and sees the baby box is open.
Yep.
And the monster in the corner. I'm like, oh no, they already lost that baby.
See, this is what leads me to believe that the room didn't actually work to begin with, because why would the monster know to go down there? And how did it get down there in the first place if there was the door? Unless Lee left the door open when he went to go look for the kids. But why would he do that? Know.
The only other thing I can think of is I heard the baby crying or the sound of the water had followed that.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you could there's a million ways to explain that away. But it created a really good tense scene where the creature like
submerges.
It submerges like almost like an alien, like from the movie Aliens.
Yeah.
Was it Alien Resurrection where they got the swimming aliens or stuff like? So the alien is like submerged, and she's like, okay. So she goes over and finds the baby still in the box.
Yeah.
And so she grabs the baby out, and then the creature comes out too. So she backs away slowly, gets behind some dripping water.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the waterfall scene with Marcus and Lee.
Yep. And she's realized that like John has died at this point and whatever. No, not yet, But because we missed this part.
Yeah.
She because then she goes to the video camera and sees that everybody's okay. This happens before she sees them reunite in the video camera.
Yes.
So she. So what draws that monster away from her? At that point. Is it the door falling on the is it the door falling in the silo?
Could have been, but I thought there was some sort of really loud noise that called it away.
Thought it was that.
Could have been.
Yeah. Can't remember now. But it leaves.
Yeah.
It leaves and she goes to that other room. And then so back to where we were then. They're down there. She's got the shotgun. The thing comes down the stairs.
Yes.
Oh, but there's this also scene where, Regan sees Lee tell her that he loves her, But then she goes down to never being in that room and seeing that he was been working on these hearing aids forever. He's got millions of these parts laying around. He's got a anatomy book where he's looking at the way the ear works, trying to figure this out. And she grabs them and
it's very touching. Yes, it's very touching.
It was Train to Busan quality touching there. And so
she has a handful of these hearing aids.
Yeah. So then the monster comes down.
They're getting ready for this is it. We're freaking screwed.
Yeah. And the electronics react to these monsters, so the TVs down there all start buzzing, and it flips out and takes out a TV.
Yep.
And then
it does the whole thing in her ear.
Well, she had turned it off though, so it wasn't going on. What she realizes that she sees the TVs reacting, and then she looks and sees the word "what is their weakness" on the board.
Yes, and puts it all together.
Yep. So she turns it back on, and the monster starts flipping out, right? And then because it couldn't leave the area because it can't hear, it can't see, so it can't escape this sound because it's enclosed.
Yeah.
So it seems to pass out. I thought it died.
Well, no. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it falls over, right? And she's like, and her and Emily are like, what the hell? So then,
I thought she holds it up to the thing
I'm
first.
getting to that.
No. I thought she holds it onto the thing, and then that's where it passes out. Because then it comes back.
Oh, wait a minute. So no, she holds it to that. It's freaking out. Then she's, because
it was never enough to really hurt it when it's just in her ear. Well, because remember it happened before.
Well, then she it stopped. It stopped going after her. Oh, maybe it was. Oh, I know, because it was like crumpling over.
Yeah.
So then she sees the radio, turns the radio up full blast, goes over to the microphone, and shoves it against the microphone.
No.
What?
You're accelerating this scene.
Okay, what happened?
She does the thing with the radio. It falls over.
Gotcha.
They're thinking it's okay, high-fiving each other, not really, but whatever. And then you see it rise up in the background.
Yep.
Comes at them, and Emily Blunt shoots it because it's been weakened at this point.
Well, so is this how this happens then? So she puts her thing up to the microphone. It makes the thing fall over.
Yep.
Then it's getting back up, so then she cranks it, hits it again.
Nope.
Why? Because then,
Nope.
So is it in her ear?
No, she has it out. She does it to the microphone.
She realizes her hearing aid does it, so then she does it to the microphone.
Yep.
It falls over.
Comes back.
Yep.
Emily Blunt.
She hits it twice. She hits it with the hearing aid twice, though, doesn't she? Because she turns the volume up.
No. Okay, in any case, she blasts it, blows its head off. Unfortunately, there is no head explosion seen from this audio because it makes it seem like it's going to be because the thing is all flashy. Then they look in the cameras and they see a bunch of these things running.
2 more.
And that's when she cranks it up because she gives a look to Evelyn and she cranks it up.
Oh, okay.
I could be completely wrong here,
I
but
can't
I
remember
think
exactly,
that's
but
what
that
happens.
seems right. Yeah, because she cranks it over. She cranks it high, then Emily smiles at her and cocks the shotgun. Which usually is dumb, but this time it was okay because she shot it, right?
Yes.
And then didn't do anything. So she would
Reload.
actually have to do that to eject the shell and reload it.
I agree there completely, but also I feel like Michael Bay did produce this movie, and I feel like that specific thing is the only thing he was like, I don't care what you guys do, but we're ending this with
He sure did.
It completely Michael Bay moment.
And because she's got this big dumb grin on her face at the same time. But I could see them being a little ecstatic. They figured out how to beat these things. It's just literally a few moments too late.
Yeah, it was very much a happy ending.
Yep.
Well, besides
not really, but kind of.
Besides Lee dying, which it's a kind of a pet peeve in movies for me when a character needlessly dies. Like I don't feel like John Krasinski needed to die. Like, I think Regan failed him by turning off the earpiece. Like, if she would have kept the earpiece on, the monster would have been scared away. He would have never had to.
But Regan didn't know that that's what that thing did. It just
I
hurt
know.
her, so she turned it off.
I know.
And and it was going after the kids. So what was he going to do? He could have ran after it with a shotgun or with the axe and tried to axe it.
Yeah.
What I thought was dumb with that part was, why did the monster attack him? He wasn't making any sounds.
Oh, when he originally first gets scratched?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Unless I missed something, because, you do hear the wood slide against that metal bin that it was in. So was that enough to trigger the thing? Because it was right above him?
Yeah.
I was really confused by that part. Like, how did it know it was him? Did he hear the flashlight flickering or something? I don't know. That scene confused me. How did it hear him?
Yeah, it could have been any of those things, because it does give you a perspective of, or from the monster's auditory perspective, when it's down, and it's during the part where Evelyn has the timer, goes to the monster's hearing, and you can hear the tick, tick, tick of the timer. So its hearing was that good.
It seems like if it wanted to, it could tune in. So maybe that's what it was doing up on top of that thing.
Yep.
It was tuning in, and it could hear the subtle sounds that he was trying to be quiet with.
Right.
Okay, that seems like it's a hand wave, but I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I think it's a good hand wave.
Yeah, that's
the movie.
That's the movie.
What do you think?
I thought it was awesome. Besides those couple of gripes,
yeah.
Which even those, like, it could absolutely just be me. Like, maybe I'm thinking too much into it, or just picking apart the details too much.
Well, that's what's neat about humanity, is how different we are.
Yeah,
you wouldn't do that. You would cut your dick off before you'd have a kid in a situation like that. You know what I mean? Or something, right? That's just who you are.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that. I would not have a kid in that situation either. If I had two already, but there are people that would do this. I believe in this situation, there are people in this world that would have a kid.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. People are going to fuck.
That or it was just an oops.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And so they're just going to try. Because maybe, despite being a glimpse of hope, seeing this life come to the world, but also maybe they're just giving up, and they knew that they're going to take this big risk, knowing that it could just kill everybody.
Sure.
And then at least they don't have to suffer, like, trying to deal with this anymore, kind of thing. Who knows? There's so many different human, like, ideas you could come up with behind that.
Yeah, it is like one of those scenarios where it's like, well, we're pretty much screwed, because
let's screw.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? Like,
yeah. How long can they do this?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they have to remain quiet all the time. They made it almost a year and a half.
Sure. They should do this movie about 1 million years from now and see how humanity has evolved living amongst these creatures.
I would like to see a prequel, actually. I would actually like to see how it all start. Like
how this destroys the world?
Yeah, with Walking Dead and zombie movies in general, like, you don't really need to know what happens, because the story's been told so many times of, like, yeah, either it was radioactive waste, or maybe it's something
hell's full.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But this seems like it would actually be pretty interesting to see it'd
be Cloverfield without a giant Cloverfield monster. It'd be Cloverfield with a bunch of small ones.
Sure.
Is what it would be.
But then you get to experience, like, how they figured out that it was sound that these things were attracted to.
Well, you could do it something like right afterwards, and somebody figuring it out. Maybe it's maybe what you do is you do like Independence Day or Jurassic Park angle, where it's scientists, and it's them, like a small group of scientists, or a scientist in its family, kind of a thing, where it's like, he or she's figuring this out as they go along, and he's losing everybody in the process until it's him, by himself, or her by herself, or something, But you could do something like that. But what I love about this is, like, something from out of this world coming and fucking this world up. Like, it's very like Lovecraftian. It's like the unknown coming here. Now, it's The like one thing I wish is like the monster was pretty humanoid despite like the limbs part.
Yep.
I wish it wasn't. Like I wish you could create a really creepy monster without it having any humanoid anything. Like do something completely different with it.
Well, you're talking like a weird
writhing
amalgamous,
massive,
like
maybe or it's just something different.
You've been playing too much Dark Souls and Bloodborne.
Yeah, probably. But I thought the monster was good, and I love the way its skull worked with its face.
Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any issues with them? How much of the monster they showed?
Nope. I like that.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I liked how they progressed to how much of it you got to see.
Yeah.
Kind of like in Signs, where you see just a glimpse of it here and there, and at the end you get a better look at them.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a very typical way to do that, but I like it. I think it's effective.
It's not like your typical Hollywood monster movie where you get the glimpses and then at the end you get this very disappointing full reveal. It looks good enough where it's like...
Yeah, it's a good progression. Well,
yeah.
The other thing that's nice about it is that the characters already know what it looks like. So it makes it creepier because it's like they see these things, they know what it looks like.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with that like shock aspect of like, oh my God, look at this thing. Like, they know.
Like, I can't think of a jump scare with the monsters as much. There wasn't like a lot of like jump...
There's the raccoon smash.
Yeah. But like, like that kind of a thing, it was. I thought they was very tastefully done with how they revealed the monster slowly throughout the movie.
Yeah,
as it got closer and like it, things kept happening to like ruin their thing. I guess if I had any gripes, the nail is kind of a gripe for me. Like it was just like too convenient.
Right
just
on
like,
the nose.
Just like, well, let's fuck this whole thing up with a nail and a board. It's just like. That's a little too much. Because, like, I mean, it's only been 472 days. I don't know how old that nail is. I mean, I figured, like, that nail would twist to release that bag before it would bend. And it looked like a newer nail. So, like, I just feel like that her pulling that bag wouldn't bend that nail up like that. So it's like it's a really stupid gripe, but, like,
Well, then that also brings up the question of, like, well, why didn't she look and see what was catching her bag?
Yeah.
To make sure, if I go down here again, I'm not going to...
Because she was pregnant. Like, it is, like, when you're that pregnant, like, bending over sucks. I was surprised she brought those bags up. Like make...
Yeah.
We're about 2 weeks away from our third kid here, and, like, I just generally will bring the laundry up. It's just, like, she'll sort it, but, like, she doesn't carry anything right now because she can barely bend over.
Yeah, it does create some awesome tension though.
Yep.
Seeing the nail up,
yeah.
like...
See, I think it would have been better and made more sense if it was like a splinter of wood.
Sure.
And then it would have been a more nagging injury too, because then it'd be like, splinters in there and she could be limping around more, kind of a thing. But...
Do you think it would be better if it showed her bag getting stuck and she pulled it out, but it never showed the nail?
I agree with that. I hate when they do that in movies where they like
foreshadowing.
This is gonna be coming into play because they do like one of the greatest movies that has one of the worst process of that is the Silence of the Lambs, the pen, where he gets the pen, and you see him sliding. It's like, we know he's got the pen. It's like because they show they like zoom into the pen or something on the clipboard. It's like, oh, he's gonna get the pen. It's like, we get it. But so I hate when they do that.
Yep.
Like if they would have revealed it later, I think. But like that isn't done generally. I can't really think of an incident where that happens. Like where something like that happens and then they're punished for it later, but you never knew that was going to happen. Yeah,
that's a good point, but I mean, that would be expecting a lot of it out of an audience, like a general audience, to like put the two pieces together. But whatever.
So what do you rank it, man?
I'm gonna go with gold. It's very well done. Like all the shots, all the sound aspect alone, like you don't really see something like that being done. Acting all around is fantastic. Kid actors, awesome. Millicent, she's actually deaf in real life. So
They were
perfect
awesome.
role. Like,
Yep. God, yeah, I'd have to go gold too with just a couple story elements keeping it from a platinum, and it's just, and I'd like to come back to this to see where I feel later because I feel like, for me personally, I will like almost anything I walk away from a theater, and then give me a couple months, and I'll think this is fucking dull, because I fell for Avatar. Like, I fell for it when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, that was awesome, blah, blah, blah. Then I went back. I saw the movie 3 times in the theaters. Not on purpose. I saw it with my wife. Yeah. And then my parents were like, hey, let's go see it. Okay, I'll go see it again. Then I saw it again with her parents. And at that point, I was like, maybe this isn't that good. But, yes. Yeah, gold, definitely. I think right now how I feel, knee-jerk reaction, having just seen it an hour ago, I give it a gold. Easily a gold.
Yeah. This movie would not, I don't feel like it would work if you had an audience that was like talking or being noisy. Nope. Like, it just wouldn't work. Nope. It'd completely take you out of the experience. Yep. So, I mean, we definitely got lucky, or
it was dead.
I mean, there was a fair amount of people there, but
I'd say maybe a 16th of that theater was filled.
Yeah.
We went at a goofy time, but
yeah,
I hope.
But still, there weren't.
I really hope the movie
people talking.
I honestly, right now, I'd go see it again. Like if totally. My brothers were like, "Hey, did you see it?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, I'm thinking about going to see it. Let me know. I'll come with. I'd like to see it again.
So we had talked about this on the past episode. The PG-13 rating. Do you feel like that totally fine? Totally fine. It didn't feel like it was edited, censored at all.
Nope.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yep, it didn't, because it could have had the kill scenes with the monster could have been more gory, but
that's the only thing that
I don't care that it didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't like that was such a weak death. Like if only they had shown his head getting chopped off or anything like that, I would have loved it, but it didn't. It didn't affect it any.
See, I almost think even because there's only a few characters.
Yep.
I think and how important those characters are, which would maybe be another philosophical good reason to do a death like that, where you see their heads come off and this and that. But I think it would almost cheapen it as far as like an emotional feeling for it would go. It
would have made it more of like a gory horror film. Yeah. But as far as being taken seriously, I feel like it was the right move to kind of make it more conservative.
Because like with the Cloverfield's super gory, right? I mean, there's heads coming off and like people getting squished by things and people exploding and whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's mostly off screen though.
I feel like this movie is somewhere between The Road and that.
Yeah,
I kind of got a lot of the Road vibe from this.
Yeah, because I mean there is blood, but it's not excessive or anything like that.
And I like I say, I think it would have cheapened it, but maybe showing that like our lives are that cheap, kind of a thing. It might have been kind of an interesting angle to go to. But I just think with the, I think it would just with how the general population, including myself, would have looked at that as more of just a cheapening of the whole thing. Like, instead of like just seeing John being absorbed by a flash of gray monster, if it would have showed him getting ripped to pieces and him screaming, I just think that would have been maybe the French would do that if they did this movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and as far as like language, saying fucks and all that, they barely talk to begin with, so
so that's
fine. A non-starter there. So PG-13, no issues.
Yep. I mean, honestly, as far as horror movies go that I've seen in the last 2 years of all the stuff we've seen, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Out of all the movies I've seen in the theater since we've started this, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
I like it better than It.
Better than Lights Out.
Better than Lights Out. Better than Don't Breathe.
Yep. Yeah.
Way to go, John.
It's a good one. Go see it.
John Krasinski, I know you'll never hear this, but please do more horror movies.
Yeah.
Maybe
he's really good at it.
Yeah. That was well done. It was there was tension. It was good. And you know what? Maybe grabs. I know they're doing some Lovecraft anthology. Get a directorial piece on that. Talk to Jordan Peele and do something.
And it seems like this movie is going to be a huge success as well. It's already made $50 million.
Okay, good. Because I was scared by how few people were in the theater. I'm like, oh.
No, it had the second biggest opening of the year, just behind Black Panther, which it's like, I think its opening was like 200 million, something crazy like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so congratulations to John Krasinski, everyone behind this movie, because it's well deserved.
Yep.
Did a fantastic job.
Yep.
Go see this movie.
I like the premise. It's good.
Yeah. All right, let us know on Twitter at Scream Fiends what you thought of A Quiet Place. Let us know what we should watch in the future if you want to see more spoiler casts.
Yeah. If there's any horror movies coming out that we don't know about. Anything coming out?
Yeah.
Any spoilers cast coming up?
We can see that Truth or Dare movie.
You know what? It looks stupid enough that I kind of want to see it.
I like the faces.
The way the face changes when like it's creepy.
I really like that.
It looks creepy. I'm wondering if I think after watching what we watched 2 weeks ago, the one about the internet.
Oh, Unfriended.
After seeing that movie, I kind of like it's kind of like snowballed me. Like I'm like, oh, maybe this one will be good because that one was so good.
Yeah.
Like, maybe one of these stupid teenager like, spooky one. Maybe this will be fun. Actually,
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go see that stupid movie.
Patreon.com/ScreamFiends. You can donate if you would like to our lovely program, but you do not have to. All of our content is always free of charge. Subscribe on the YouTube. You can also subscribe to the iTunes feed or Google Play to get new episodes every week. 7voltmedia.com. Catch all the past episodes, other content that our people do, all that stuff. And from us at Scream Fiends, so long and farewell.